ago, that's been off to a slow start because honestly, folks are going to get their cannabis wherever they can, right? So a lot of people have been going up north to Michigan because Michigan has been adult use, medical use. So a lot of people, if you're living anywhere in central Ohio or close to up north, people are willing to take the 2 to 3 to 4 hour drive to go get cannabis, especially when their prices and their products might be a little bit better and more accessible than Ohio. A lot of people still don't know that Ohio has a medical program because, again, a lot of the marketing and media isn't really informing or educating the masses. Also, Ohio is a heavy labor state. So a lot of people are working, low wage jobs or um, warehouse jobs. Sorry. That or working for the state or city governments or local governments or private entities that still drug test. So they're preventing a lot of people from using cannabis because people are still being drug tested for jobs. And so that's preventing a lot of people, I believe, from having conversations and talking publicly about cannabis. Privately, on the streets, there's people consuming and using, but now that we have these social media platforms and the internet, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about it publicly because, again, um, a lot of people don't want to uh, give away that they're consuming cannabis, right, when they're off the clock. Um, and so I think that's partly where we are in this society. And it's sad to me, though, because, these same people will post pictures of them with alcohol. These same people will post, double fisting with alcohol and everything like that. But cannabis is still Schedule 1 federally, or was it Schedule 1, Schedule 3, whatever. We need to get it all decriminalized, and that's why, like, I live in the gray area because at the end of the day, like, if they could just change the laws and the rules, and now people are investing in cannabis, making money in cannabis, but we still have people locked up for nonviolent cannabis offenses. We have people locked up for paraphernalia charges. Um, all the while, people are making laws, rules, regulations, consuming cannabis, selling cannabis for profit, and we're not really advocating. A lot of people, are simply trying to find their way in the business so they can profit and make money. And I just don't think that's what, somebody that's been consuming cannabis since I was 16 in high school when the war on drugs and the DARE programs and all these things were happening. And now all of a sudden that we have legalization for adult use and medical, and we're not having those conversations. Even for medical, we need to be having more in-depth conversations, right? Because we're dealing with mental health illness, we're dealing with depression, PTSD, people are dealing with other illnesses, just physical, emotional, and spiritual things that I believe cannabis and the plant truly help with. And so to be able to intertwine cannabis in those conversations and help people transition their lives off of opioids and opioid abuse to cannabis, or off of alcohol to cannabis, I think is important. And the only way that we can deal with those things is to truly talk about them. So again, I've been away from the platform for a little bit when it comes to long form content, but I definitely want to start sharing more. So be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Be sure to follow the Ohio Cannabis Report on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on X, Twitter. So be sure to follow us. Also, you can write me an email if you want to be involved, if you want to share your story. If you're an Ohio citizen, an Ohio cannabis patient, an Ohio cultivator and grower, because we do have recreational is legal, and home grow is legal. So, we can grow our own cannabis. But again, I think we need to build more of a collective and a community, a cooperative that helps each other to advance this movement, because cannabis is like water, it's like air, it's like food, oil. It's something that really should be shared within the community so we can help heal the community, heal the collective, so we have a better overall society. because right now in America, our society is so fragmented and so broken up, and everybody's trying to get the race to the top, and it's like we're leaving a lot of people behind, and so in the process. So again, I wanted to come on and share some updates and some news of what's going on in the Ohio cannabis industry. There have been some more movement in terms of adult use sales and how that process is going to work. Still, right now, you can only buy cannabis from a medical cannabis dispensary. I just learned that if you're 18 to 21, you can get a medical card. And so, again, right now, until the state officially opens up some of these dispensaries to be able to be dual use, you can still only purchase legally from a dispensary medical cannabis, and you need a medical card to do that. Now, they did reduce the medical card fee from the state, which is $0, I believe, or like a penny or something like that. Some of the doctors and some of the physicians have lowered their pricing for getting patients medical cards as well, which I know that was a part of the process, keeping a lot of people, away from the cannabis industry as well, is because it's like, why would I spend $200, $250 on a medical card that's only going to last me a year when I can go down the street, or I can sell drugs myself? I can sell the weed myself, or I can go up north. I don't need a medical card. And so, again, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things happening with very little information coming out from the state, from these cannabis cultivators, processors, and distributors. The dispensaries, like, everybody's kind of quiet and trying to figure out how they're going to play the game and make the most money, right? Because, again, America is a capitalistic society, and everybody's trying to figure out how they're going to make the most money and get their share of the pie as a corporation. Um, but again, where does that leave the masses? Where does that leave, the common folk, the average folk? Where does that leave the people who are locked up for cannabis, for growing cannabis, or, having a couple baggies, having a couple dime bags and getting caught, and the police in the state saying that it was an attempt to distribute, or having cannabis paraphernalia, and getting locked up for that. And so I think it's essential. And it decreases your ability to get jobs, decreases your ability to get housing, and all sorts of things. And so it really has destroyed a lot of lives. So again, if you want to be on the show, please reach out to me. You can reach out to us on email or Instagram. Our email is ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. On Instagram, you can DM me at Ohio Cannabis Report. And we want to hear all stories, whether you're the owner of a cultivator, a processor, dispensary, whether you're a home grower, whether you're a patient, whether you're somebody that's just a recreational user and consumer. Like, we want to hear all stories and hear how cannabis has helped you. I know cannabis has helped me in my life. I've dealt with a lot growing up, and just being an American descendant of slaves. You talk about PTSD, you talk about stress, anxiety, depression, coming from a working class, impoverished family out of New York. Lost my grandparents when I was very young. I lost my grandmother when I was 6, and she was my main caretaker. I also played football from the age of 7 to 23, to trying out for the NFL, the Oakland Raiders. So I dealt with a lot of physical trauma playing football. You talk about CTE is something that's been talked about a lot. So, concussions and just the physical health, dealing with physical pain. I have arthritis in both of my ankles. And so, every day I wake up, I'm in pain, even though I'm only 34 years old and I still look young. I still have a youthful mentality. There are days that sometimes it's tougher for me than others, especially if my ankles swell up, or, just the pain is there. And so cannabis has truly been beneficial to my life. And it's the only thing I really consume. You know what I mean? I'm not a big alcohol drinker. And, in terms of my lifestyle, I like to be as natural as possible. You know what I mean? I try to eat as healthy as possible, considering the lifestyle that has been created in America. And I found that cannabis is something that is truly beneficial to my life and helping me navigate this world that we're living in. And so, again, thank you all for tuning in. Please, again, like, subscribe, comment as well. You know what I mean? Liking these videos, commenting, subscribing to our channels. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime that I upload content, because we do want to build this platform and we do want to build this community. At the end of the day, I'm not in this, to profit. I'm in this to build community, build and connect people, build relationships. And I believe authentically and genuinely that when you do things like that, the money comes, the resources come. Because to me, money isn't everything. Growing up, I went to private school, and what I realized in private school, although people had a lot of money, it was more about the network. It was more about, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's about the connections and the relationships. And that's what brings the money in. A lot of people think like, oh, I got to be this shark in the water and to have this money and I can't share. And it's like, that's not really true. If you build a network of people and that network of people supports you, then, you will be successful in the end. And so again, the money that I do make, I put right back into all of the creative ventures and platforms that I have. I put into the nonprofit that I help run and building up safe spaces and communities for those people who are underserved and don't have a voice or feel like they don't have a voice or a platform to really share their voices. So again, this platform is for you. It's not for the big wigs. It's not for the corporate, elites. And those people, we haven't taken any sponsorship money, so you don't see us promoting anybody's products or services. Sometimes we may promote an event here or there, but we're going to start doing our own events. We've hosted a couple in the past few years. I've had to fall back due to some family issues that we've been dealing with. And so again, I'm feeling like I can get back on the horse again and really push the Ohio Cannabis Report, because it is something that I'm truly passionate about. And it is something that I feel is truly necessary for the community to really build these platforms and share these messages. So what I'm going to do today is just share some content from the latest news coming out of Ohio when it pertains to the medical and adult use industry. And anybody can, go find this stuff. This is all on the internet. So Ohio Department of Commerce hosts the Division of Cannabis Control, which you can see right here, which I have pulled up. So the Division of Cannabis Control oversees the medical marijuana control program, patient and caregiver registry, and it licenses and regulates medical marijuana cultivators, processors, dispensaries, and testing laboratories. The State Medical Board of Ohio is responsible for the certifying of physicians to recommend medical cannabis and approving qualifying conditions. The dual use and 10B license applications for eligible entities. Initial non-medical cannabis license applications are only open to current medical cannabis license holders. So this is big too. Obviously, if you want to get in the business of selling cannabis in Ohio right now, they're only allowing dual use, which means that they're only allowing medical cannabis dispensaries right now to apply for dual use. So if you have a medical cannabis dispensary, basically, or a cultivator, they're allowing the state is allowing them to get first bids on being able to sell recreational cannabis. But again, in Ohio, we have homegrown. So that means you can order seeds, you can order clones, and you can start to grow your own cannabis at home. A single person can grow up to 6 plants, and I believe a 2-adult household can grow up to 12 plants. So, I think it's wise, for people to start growing their own. You know what I mean? If you have a little yard and you want to do a greenhouse, or you have a basement, or even, a small closet, there are tons of great options to help you start your process and growing. And I believe that's going to be the most cost effective It's going to be, you're going to know what the process has been. Some of these cultivators, we don't know what they're doing with the weed, right? We don't know if they're spraying it with chemicals, pesticides. They're being very tight-lipped about how they're growing and what they're growing. And I think, as patients, especially medical patients, we need to have full access and full transparency of what's going on, what's in the weed. Because again, it's a medical product, it's a medical service, and we're doing a disservice to patients if there's remediated weed or there's pesticides in the weed. So again, it's essential that we ask questions. It's essential that citizens and patients show up, ask these questions, come to the Division of Cannabis Control. And as you can see right here, they have a contact us where literally the email for licensing, or you can just write, give them your information and write to them and let them know like, hey, this is, something that I want done, you know, and as a person, you know what I mean? So again, we have the media relations right here, their email, you have a general information, phone number. And, as people, the more people who contact these departments and these lawmakers, the better off the product and services will be for the general community. All right, so what I'm going to do is go back. And it's also interesting, right? We see that it says Division of Cannabis Control, but then down here, they still use medical marijuana, right? Like, mixed messaging. I'm glad that they're using cannabis though, but again, how can you control cannabis? How can you control a plant, right? We don't have the division of tomato control, the division of pepper control, the division of potato control. Like, but this is just the state having its hand in everything, right? Trying to control everything that's happening. All right, so here's just information on the dual use and 10B license applications. Applications and materials related to the conversion of a current medical cannabis license to a dual use cannabis license and new 10B dispensary licenses are posted on this page. Frequently asked questions will be regularly updated. Pursuant to the initiated statute approved by the Ohio voters in November 2023, the initial non-medical cannabis license applications are only open to current medical marijuana license holders. Dual use. Each current medical marijuana cultivator, processor, testing laboratory, and dispensary that wishes to participate in non-medical cannabis market at their current location must apply for dual use cannabis license. 10B dispensaries. Pursuant to ORC 3780.10B, the following licenses must be issued for a level 1 medical marijuana cultivator with a certificate of operation or provisional license, 3 dispensary licenses per entity at locations designated in a license application. For a level 2 medical marijuana cultivator with a certificate of operation or provisional license, 1 dispensary license per entity at a location designated in a license application. For a medical marijuana dispensary with a certificate of operation or provisional license, which does not have any common ownership or control with any cultivator or processor, 1 dispensary license per entity at a location designated in a license application. No other license applications will be accepted at this time. So this means that if you don't own a cultivator or a dispensary already, you cannot even apply for a adult use recreational license, which again, in a state of 11 million people is absurd, right? Like, Ohio has 11 million people. And the fact that we're only allowing a handful of individuals to cultivate, process, and then distribute shows you that we have a market that is controlled by the elites right now, because the weed game is watered down. But again, this is why we have to be more vocal publicly, and also contact these people, you know what I mean, and let them know what we want and what we need. I am constantly writing emails. I'm constantly contacting these people. I'm constantly posting information and news about the Ohio cannabis industry. But again, it takes more than 1, 2, 5, 10 of us. It takes thousands of us, millions of us to create change, and the change that we want, right? Because Ohio is struggling. Ohio is struggling with education funding for our communities. Ohio is struggling with resources for roads and bridges and just overall maintenance and city life for a lot of people, especially if you live in a small town, you live in a rural area, or you live in a city. The suburbs have money, right? Because the suburbs are getting money from these large corporations. So the income taxes and things of that nature. So when you look at the suburbs, they have money. But when you also look at what's happening in the suburbs, a lot of these suburbs in Ohio, um, especially around Columbus, have moratoriums against cannabis. So they're not allowing cannabis businesses to even enter into their communities, which is interesting, right? Because I know there's plenty of people in the suburbs that are drinking alcohol, doing, all types of pills and opioids and smoking weed, but they try to uphold this image that they are clean and that they don't do that type of stuff, right? They're good, upstanding Christian citizens or just good people, and they try to hide some of these things. And so again, it's up to common folk. It's up to your average, everyday, hardworking, blue collar person to really stand up and rise up and come together collectively. And if people want to piggyback on my back, I am willing to do that. Now, this is where the money does come in. If you want me to be the voice for the people, if you want me to be the cannabis voice for the people, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to go to bat with these politicians, with these business leaders. Because again, I know how this stuff works. I went to private school. I grew up in Washington, D.C. Both of my parents have worked for the federal government the majority of my life. So I know how these systems and these games work. But also I understand that for the people, we need freedom. We need cannabis freedom, complete cannabis freedom. And so we're not free until all of our people who have been disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs and prohibition, until they're free, right? And so again, I think these are some real issues that we must face head on, and we can't be afraid of the uncomfortable situations, because the only way you grow, the only way you evolve, the only way you become better is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's something that I've learned from just being successful in sports and just in life. So again, here's an email that you can, if you have questions, you hit up the DCC at com.ohio.gov with the subject line for dual use questions, business name, MMCP, license number, dual use application questions. For 10B questions, business name, applicant confirmation number, 10B application questions. So just here's some links to the 10B dispensary application, 10B application instructions, 10B dispensary drawing, dual use application. And then here's dual use application facts. So again, these aren't open to you and I, average folks, right? Again, if you want to do business in America, you want to do business in Ohio, it is wise of you to get a legit business. An LLC only costs about $100 in the state of Ohio, a C corporation, a nonprofit. And also what we have to realize is nonprofits have power. So we should be doing things under the nonprofit arm where, we can donate cannabis, we can donate seeds, we can donate services and business, and be able to collect donations. It's not a sale, it's a donation. So we definitely need more cafes and coffee shops and membership, style things to happen. But again, a lot of things are still underground. A lot of things are still kind of hidden from the general public when it comes to some of this stuff. So again, let me see, newsletter. And again, you guys, I know like some people come on here and like, oh, you're not really sharing any information. You're just going over the website. Well, guess what? The state of Ohio is not even doing this. The state of Ohio is not even creating content and sharing the news, the updates in the media. They're just putting it on these pages. And if you come to it, you come to it. If you don't, you don't. So basically it's a thing like the information is there, you know what I mean? But are you actually going to study the information, find the information, and share the information so that people are aware of what's going on in the state of Ohio when it comes to cannabis? And so let's see. What we do, cultivation process, dispensary labs. And then shout out to all the people who are doing the work. Shout out to Mastermind, Anthony, Ohio Cannabis Live. Shout out to Broderick, Randall, the second, who's one of my best friends in the cannabis industry. And the people who are really trying to speak up and really trying to do great work to help the community, because I think that's what it takes as well. Let's see, information for patients. I haven't seen the updated numbers in a minute when it comes to the sales. So that's what I'm looking for. And again, you sometimes you just gotta poke around. And I'll go to find a dispensary so we can see. Now, again, the state of Ohio has 11 million people, 11 plus million people. And so here are all the dispensaries currently in Ohio. So you can see this is the map of Ohio. And what we're seeing here is, look how big the state is. Sorry, I'm trying to get it just enough so I can show you guys. So this is the state of Ohio. Enlarge my screen here. And then you gotta understand we're surrounded, like Indiana is still not cannabis, not legal when it comes to cannabis. And then you have Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. So when we have adult use and we start selling cannabis, we have to understand people from Pennsylvania are going to come to Ohio. People from West Virginia are going to come to Ohio. People from Kentucky are going to come to Ohio. People from Indiana are going to come to Ohio. Michigan obviously has their own weed. So a lot of people are crossing right over into Michigan, right over this state line, and going to get some weed. And what does that do? That's taking tax money and revenue from the state of Ohio that could be used for Fulton, William, Henry, all these places that I don't know what they look like. I ain't never been, but I know some of these places are not that friendly and they're losing money. But cannabis could definitely bring some money to a lot of these counties in Ohio. So again, here is all the dispensaries in Ohio right now. And so you look at all of these empty counties that don't have dispensaries, that have plenty of, residents and citizens that I'm sure could benefit from cannabis. And then some of these counties have more than others. You look at Franklin County. This is Columbus, Ohio. You have a nice mix right in the city. Then you have Lincoln County. You have Hawking, they only have one. Athens has two. The fact that Meigs County doesn't have any, but you got Meigs County Gold is wild to me. And also let me know if you're in Ohio, What part of the state are you in? What county, what city? Do you have dispensaries? Do you have your medical card? Are you an adult use? Are you home grow? Um, what are you growing? What are you medicating on? What's your favorite strain? Like, let us know what has been um, your experience as a medical cannabis patient in Ohio. Even if you're going up to Michigan, let me know. I feel like so many people are afraid to talk. And if you're afraid to talk publicly, I kind of means you're a slave to me. If you're afraid to share your life and your experiences, because you might get judged or you might lose a job or you might lose opportunities, that sounds like slavery to me. So again, you don't have to share your name. Also, if you want to come on the show, if you don't want to show your face, we don't have to do video. We can do podcasts where it's just your voice. We can block out your face. We just want to hear from people and your experiences and how cannabis has helped you, or even if you don't know anything about cannabis, you want to learn more. You want to learn how it's helping other people. And I think that's the most important part. So again, yeah, in a state of 11 million people, look at all of these counties that don't have any dispensaries. Um, then you get down towards Cincinnati. Of course, you're going to have more. You got Cleveland. So the three C's, the major city hubs, that's where you're going to have most of your dispensaries and stuff like that. So, um, you know, again, I think we still have a long way to go, a very long way to go in this industry. So here's, I'm going to talk about the licenses. So right now we have level 1, there's 23 licenses, 22 licensees with certificates of operation, 1 provisional licensees. Level 2, you have 14 licensees, 14 licensees with certificate of operations. These are cultivators. And this is the money, right? This is the big thing. Fees, level 1, the application fee is $20,000 alone, non-refundable, I believe. The initial fee, certificate of operation, was $180,000. The annual license renewal fee, $200,000. Level 2 application fee, $2,000. Initial fee, certificate of operation, $18,000. Annual license renewal fee, $20,000. So for the average person, that's not attainable, and it has to be cash, right? You got to have investors and people that already have the money, because we still can't get loans and stuff from the banks. Also, the application period for cultivators is closed. So even if you wanted to do it and you had the money, the period is closed for cultivators. The department accepted cultivator provisional license applications during the following time periods. Level 2 applications from June 5th, 2017 to June 16th, 2017. And level 1 applications from June 19th, 2017 to June 30th, 2017. So look at those windows. Like, in total, the department received 109 level 1 applications and 76 level 2 applications. The department began announcing cultivator provisional license awards in November 2017. For records related to the application period, contact the MMCP at mmcprecords@com.ohio.gov. And here's processors. So processors are basically the ones that receive some of the material from the cultivators, and they process that material into other forms of other forms of products. So edibles, tinctures, vape pens, things like that. So licensees, there's 46 licensees, 45 licensees with certificate of operation, 1 provisional licensees. The application fee, $10,000. The initial fee, certificate of operation, was $90,000, and annual license renewal fee is $100,000. And this is just good information to know, to hold people accountable. So here's the dispensaries. So licensees, you have 120 licensees with certificate of operation, 12 licensees with provisional licenses. Fee, Application fee, $5,000. Initial fee, certificate of operation, $70,000. Biannual license renewal fee, $70,000. You have testing laboratories. There's 10 licensees, 8 licensees with certificate of operation, 2 provisional licensees. Fees, you got $2,000 for the application fee, initial license fee, $18,000, annual renewal fee, $20,000. The application periods, there have been 2 application periods for testing laboratory licenses occurring in 2017 and 2020. There are currently 8 licensed testing labs operating in the state. So again, this is just essential information that it's public information, but again, unless you are really looking for the information, um, you're not going to know. I actually want to see the sales. I'll just go to some news articles and see what's happening in the news. And there's been a lot of events too. So I mean, there's a lot of events going on that have been popping up. There's a rolling competition coming up. There's been all types of underground events happening, which is cool, you know. But again, it's just people getting their bread up. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily, you know, folks really trying to dismantle these systems that have been put into place. So these Ohio dispensaries could be first to sell recreational marijuana, but not yet. So the Division of Cannabis Control awarded dozens of provisional licenses this week to existing medical marijuana dispensaries in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Akron, among other cities, according to the state online database. Another 30 licenses went to growers, testing labs, and product manufacturers. Ohio Cannabis Festival hiring joint rolling judges at high hourly rate. So Pomeroy, Ohio, as the Ohio Cannabis Festival prepares to launch, it's also looking to make multiple hires with a high pay grade. The Stargazer Cannabis Festival, weeks away from inaugural 3-day run at Wisteria Campground, is taking place in the first full year of Ohio has legal recreational marijuana. And a little over a month after the state opened applications for sales at dual use dispensaries, festival organizer Chad Thompson told Nexstar WCMH that he was planning to hire multiple judges for the event's joint rolling contest on July 27th. Thompson launched the job posting online late Monday. There's 2 divisions, a classic division and an artistic division, Thompson said. And in both of those divisions, one of the criteria is how does it smoke, the potential smokability. While the classic division will focus on traditional joints, Thompson said the artistic division could see intricately designed joints shaped like tanks, cars, or birds. He also broke down several other factors the judges would be expected to review, as well as the eyebrow-raising dollar amount offered for their time. We're going to be checking for the draw of the joint and the joint stability, like checking for runs or so forth. And all that's going to go into the judging process, Thompson said. And we're hoping that the pay will be enough to get a large pool of potential candidates. We are paying $100 an hour, you know, just to smoke joints. So if you're looking for $100 an hour and to smoke some weed, sign me up. Chad Thompson, if you see this, sign me up. I'll be there. The hourly rate uh, won't be a short span either. According to Thompson, he estimates the judging would take a couple hours, if not more. And for that reason, the applicants need to be experienced beyond casual users. If there's somebody who smokes maybe once a month, maybe they might not be the best person, Thompson said. But if they're a pretty regular smoker, I think they'll be able to handle it. Thompson previously clarified that no vendors at the festival spanning July 26th to 28th would be selling recreational marijuana, and a farmer's market at the event would mainly sell hemp-derived products. However, he did note recreational marijuana will still have a presence at Stargazers in other forms. Vendors will be allowed to sell cannabis seeds, legal even at the federal level, and with which Ohioans can grow up to 6 plants under state current law. Festival goers will be allowed to use their homegrown marijuana at the campgrounds as well, including in the joint rolling competition. It'd be completely legal to be homegrown cannabis, or they may roll it with hemp, or they may not. I'm not going to ask, Thompson said. I'm sure that there will be attendees that have legal cannabis with THC and will be consuming it, but there's going to be no person-to-person sales. We also mentioned that while festival tickets are still available online, they have been selling quickly. Thompson told WCMH that Stargazer team would have to decide whether to sell door tickets on the weekend of the event based on capacity, but did say that they are no longer accepting new food vendor applications. If you definitely want to get into Stargazer, you definitely should buy a ticket as soon as possible, Thompson said. If you wait, there will likely be a chance you will not get in. I'm getting calls from all over the region. Thompson said applicants interested in applying to become joint rolling judges or buying standard tickets should visit Stargazer Festival website and scroll all the way to the bottom link for events job posting. So, I mean, I'm excited to see that. You know what I mean? So, if you want a job smoking joints and judging joints, go to that website, go to that link. This was also another article that I saw. 55 Ohio towns will ban recreational marijuana sales despite legalization. See where they are. So again, let us know if you live in one of these places that is banning recreational. Currently, there are 120 certified medical cannabis licensees and another 17 provisional licensees operating 126 dispensaries statewide per Ohio Department of Commerce. So these are the cities that are banning recreational dispensaries. You have Ashland, Avon Lake, Beechwood, Beaver Creek, Bellefontaine, Bellevue, Brunswick, Carlisle, Centerville, Clayton, Copley Township, Eaton, Fairfield, Forest Park, Franklin, Granville Township, Greene, Hamilton, Hudson, Kettering, Kirtland, Lakewood, Lexington, Lisbon, Logan, Madison Township, Marysville, Medina Township, Miamisburg, Monroe, Napoleon, New Franklin, North Olmsted, North Royalton, Northfield, Norton, Obetz, Ontario, Orange, Perrysburg, Salem, Shelby, Springboro, Strongville, Sycamore Township, Trotwood, Troy, Vandalia, Washington Township, Waynesville, West Carrollton, Westchester Township, Westerville, Westlake, and Xenia. Additionally, the Mansfield City Council will revisit its plan for a sale moratorium in mid-June. As the Morris College of Law writes, the list of locales banning marijuana sales may not be complete, and the length of sale moratorium vary from a few months to a year. Additionally, a few of the jurisdictions that enacted adult use marijuana bans already have operating medical marijuana establishments. Are Ohio cities allowed to ban marijuana sales despite legalization? Yes. With 24 states allowing recreational marijuana, 20 of them, including Ohio, allow local municipalities to ban marijuana businesses. But this is why it's important, to use your voice. All the cities are different. All of the counties are different. So again, let us know what you think. What are your thoughts? Comment. Be sure to like, subscribe. Also, if you are a cannabis nonprofit, Last Prisoner Project, Normal, any of these companies or these organizations that are saying they're helping, with legislation and citizen-led initiatives, please reach out to us. Again, you can contact me via email or Instagram DMs. Our email is ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. Our Instagram is Ohio Cannabis Report. Please direct message us. If you want to interview me, I am open for all interviews. Again, you can contact me. You can contact me via phone. My phone number is 614-721-9981. I am also a published author. I'm also a former Division I All-American and NFL prospect. So I do talk about my life as a public figure, as a former elite athlete in football, about how cannabis has impacted my life. And I love sharing that story in hopes of helping other people who are maybe dealing with similar situations. So again, I'm always available to be on podcasts, to be interviewed, whether it's virtual or anything else. So please reach out. I just gave you a couple different ways to reach out. You can also reach out to me via my personal Instagram, which is @Gerald Moore Jr. This was another article that came out the other day. Recreational marijuana new policy for Ohio's 48,000 state employees allows roughly half to use off the clock, which it's legal. Of course, you should be able to use off of the clock, right? All right, Columbus, Ohio, state employees age 21 and older can use recreational marijuana while they're off duty. What? Like, you gonna tell me what I can do off the clock? It's crazy. Plantation vibes. But only if they work in positions not subject to random drug testing, according to Ohio's updated drug-free workplace policy. But guess what? They got alcohol. They have opioids, right? If a doctor prescribes you opioids, how is a company going to tell you you can't take your opioids? How's a company going to tell you? A lot of these companies are drinking on the job. They have, all types of events and galas and fundraising events and all types of stuff where alcohol is being consumed. Why can't cannabis? The policy was updated in December after voters approved the initiated statute that allows adults 21 and older to use marijuana. Marijuana, unlike alcohol, takes more time to metabolize in the body and can be detected for weeks after consumption in a drug screening. A positive test for marijuana, however, doesn't necessarily mean the person was impaired when they took the drug test. The state is one of numerous employers throughout Ohio looking at policies in their employee handbooks since the election last November. The initiated statute allows Ohio's adults to possess up to 2.5 ounces of flower and about 0.5 ounces of extracts. Meantime, the state is reviewing applications for dispensaries and other businesses to open to serve recreational customers. Those could open in a matter of weeks. Ohio has about 48,100 state employees, including 1,947 who work for state agencies, boards, and commissions that identify Cuyahoga County as their headquarters, such as employees of the Ohio Lottery and regional offices of the Ohio Highway Patrol and Ohio Department of Transportation. Employees age 21 and older can consume marijuana on their own time, as long as they're not on call, unless they work in jobs known as safety sensitive, which are subject to random drug tests and policies. The policy states. Generally, safety sensitive jobs require activities that could be dangerous to the physical well-being or the security of employees themselves, their coworkers, or the general public. Safety sensitive jobs include corrections officers, building inspectors, hazardous material investigators, alcohol and drug program specialists, amusement ride and game inspectors, aviators, highway patrol officers, boiler operators, natural resource officers, dredge operators, customer service representatives at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, tax crime investigators, weights and measures inspectors, youth leaders at schools for blind and deaf students and hospital aides, nurses and doctors in psychiatric facilities and veteran homes. Roughly 22,105 of the state's 48,100 employees are randomly drug tested, said J.C. Benton, a spokesman with the Ohio Department of Administrative Services, which oversees human resources for state employees. The drug-free workplace policy, however, screens everyone for drugs, including marijuana, when they've been extended an employment offer, regardless of whether they could work a safety-sensitive position. The state is to rescind the job offer if a candidate has failed the test, unless the person can present an unexpired patient registration with the Ohio Medical Marijuana Control Program, according to the policy. The state accepts medical marijuana usage of off the job, except in certain job categories. If an employee holds a position that is subject to U.S. Department of Transportation testing policies, or is in a position that requires them to possess a firearm or ammunition, such as a law enforcement officer, then there is no exception for medical marijuana if the employee has a positive test, said Melissa Vence, a Department of Administrative Services spokeswoman. Dan Turney, a spokesman for Governor Mike DeWine, said that workers are expected to be sober during their shifts. He didn't directly answer questions about why state employees in positions not subject to random drug tests must not test for marijuana in their pre-employment drug screening. There is overlap of the age group of people under age 21 and people who are eligible for employment in the state of Ohio, he said. There are many instances, both with the state of Ohio and with private employers, where we choose to be stronger than the minimum standard of law. If you consider recreational marijuana as a baseline after the passage of Issue 2, we as a state of Ohio, which is taxpayer supported, have a higher standard than the minimally required under the law. The Ohio State Civil Service Employees Association didn't have a comment for this story. Again, in the comments, let me know what you think. You know, if you're a state employee or if you've worked for the state, let me know. You know what I mean? Again, we are the taxpayers, right? Like, we pay taxes to this state. It's our state. It should run and operate how we see fit. So if you're not using your voice publicly, if you're not writing emails, contacting your state representatives, contacting your city council members, contacting your county commissioners, then, you know, there's nothing that can be done. How marijuana can get you arrested in Ohio even after its legalization. So Cincinnati, WKRC, there are a few ways marijuana can still get you arrested in Ohio even after its legalization. According to WKBN, although marijuana can be grown for personal use and possessed, there are limitations. You may not possess more than 2.5 ounces, approximately 70 grams of marijuana in any form except extracts, which is concentrates. For extracts, you may only possess 15 grams. You cannot give another person more than those limits without being a licensed business. You are not allowed to operate a vehicle, motor vehicle, streetcar, trackless trolley, bike, watercraft, or aircraft while under the influence of marijuana. You can only grow up to 6 plants per adult in a household, or a maximum of 12 plants if more than one adult is in the household. The cultivation and growing of cannabis may only take place within a room, secure closet, greenhouse, or an enclosed area in or on the grounds of residence. The area where you are cultivating or growing marijuana must be inaccessible to people under the age of 21 and must not be visible from public space like a sidewalk. You may not give marijuana to an underage individual or help them obtain it. You cannot use marijuana in bars or restaurants. Depending on the quantity, penalties for violations can range from misdemeanor to felony depending on the quantity. Landlords may prohibit or restrict marijuana cultivation in a lease agreement according to the outlet. Parents cannot allow any underage individuals to use marijuana in their car or anywhere under their ownership or lease. According to the station, the Department of Commerce issued reminders to owners that If they allow customers to use marijuana in their restaurants or bar, they are subject to administrative citations, which include fines and possible loss of their license. It's a lot going on. Like I said, y'all, a lot going on. Again, let me know in the comments your thoughts, feelings. Ohio receives nearly 220 applications for dual use marijuana licenses. Why some Northeast Ohio communities are banning recreational marijuana dispensaries and why others are buying in. Having the ability to utilize marijuana is one thing, but having it get sold in a community that's very family centric is totally different thing. Like Ohio and this whole family thing is like, no, y'all be hiding. Y'all are trying. A lot of people in Ohio, what I've noticed is they be fronting, right? Everybody wants to give this public image that they're perfect, that they don't do anything, that they don't consume alcohol, they're not consuming pills. People got ADHD. People have all types of illnesses and ailments. You know, you have women that are, dealing with stress and depression, so they on pills, they on antidepressants, which I know is huge in Ohio. You got all types of stuff is going on, man. It's possible to say that Bryan Adams' journey into the world of cannabis activism began with a film canister. It was March 2006, and Adams was an introverted 22-year-old working at a restaurant in Bedford. As an East Side teenager, Adams had indulged in marijuana, but was certainly not immersed in the world. Regardless, a dishwasher gifted him a film container worth of bud as Adams was ending his shift for the night. Outside in the parking lot, he was met by two police cruisers. He was arrested and later convicted of drug abuse in the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas and fined $255 because possession of marijuana, a Schedule I narcotic at the time, was classified as a fourth-degree misdemeanor. Adams spent the following decade managing the lingering spoils of a drug charge, cold shoulders by landlords, stigma when dealing with HR departments, a fate dealt to tens of thousands of dollars, thousands of Ohioans, tens of thousands, a fate dealt to tens of thousands of other Ohioans. Think about this. $250, $55 fine for cannabis, which, especially if you look at the African American community who doesn't have disposable income, who struggles to get high paying jobs, who's struggling with poverty, who's struggling with healthcare, who's struggling with just basic resources in society, a $255 fine, and you got court fees, lawyer fees. You can't get a house, you can't get a job, and it's been destroying lives. And this is why I'm an advocate. This is why I'm an activist and why I speak up, because fortunately for me, I've been able to circumvent a lot of these things. And I've been able to consume cannabis since I was 16. Although I've lived in fear, although I've had anxiety about being caught, being judged, it hasn't stopped me from purchasing cannabis. It hasn't stopped me from consuming cannabis. But I've never had to deal with the law. It could keep you from getting a job, he said, even in the cannabis field. Today, thanks to the actions of Ohio voters this past November, Adams' pocket full of weed and its smoking warrants no more than shoulder shrugs in the eyes of law enforcement and city and state legislators, a process that's taken years as Ohio voted in favor of issue 2 and legalized recreational weed and decriminalized small possession following a string of failed attempts stretching back decades. Issue 2, the second attempt to legalize recreational pot in the state, passed with 57% of the statewide vote, roughly 3 million Ohioans in November. But the following law that went on the books in December came with an interesting dilemma for cities from Toledo to Athens. Individuals could possess weed up to 2.5 ounces and could even grow a half dozen cannabis plants in their bedroom or secured closet, but actually supplying THC gummies or weed vapes for the public, that would be a decision left to the cities themselves.
who lawmakers said may adopt a resolution by majority vote to prohibit or limit the number of adult use cannabis operators. With the state set to finally allow recreational sales beginning with established licensed medical dispensaries, the question of where Northeast Ohioans will be able to buy weed is one still coming into focus. Some cities, as when medical marijuana was legalized, have wanted nothing to do with the sale of weed. Others were gung ho. Some, I don't even know, some bucolic suburbs. I've never heard that word before. Uh, Let me look it up. Bucolic. It's an adjective of or characteristic of the countryside or its people, rustic, rural. Okay. Have used the opportunity as a chance to stand in favor of preserving values and legislating morals, but those moves have stood against the majority of voters. The Northeast Ohio, where 98% of the cities and towns voted to legalize recreational usage, only Lindale, a tiny village of just 109 people, actually said no to the issue too. From January to mid-June, 55 towns and cities across Ohio issued indefinite bans or temporary moratoriums on adult use dispensaries, citing needing zoning law updates or so-called incompatibility with towns' values. 14 of those are in the Northeast Ohio. Avon Lake, we already read some of those. There will be dispensaries in Cleveland, however. City Council passed legislation in May ensuring that adult use dispensaries don't pop up within 500 feet of any sensitive areas, schools, churches, playgrounds, parks, but in appropriate retail districts, which was pretty much just a copy and paste of Ohio law. So yeah, I mean, there's so much movement going on, y'all. Middleburg resident for 61 years and on council for 31 of those. Ali carries the kind of hometown protectionism one might expect from a post-war mayor. Ali is a bald and wears a red and blue tie over a tucked-in white shirt that suggests he might be out on a campaign trail. When asked why he voted to ban recreational weed, Ali was quick to remind that his wife is a doctor, okay? And she was against it also. He said, yeah, because she's dealing out opioids. But 52% of the residents here voted for it. I mean, the election was close. He added, standing in the driveway of one of his rentals he manages of Big Creek Parkway, 2 blocks down from City Hall. It's like anything else. When something is that close, 2%, that's pretty darn close to being 50-50. Half of the people want it, half of the people don't. No, nigga. I'm sorry. No. Half of the people don't want it. 50 or 52% of the people want it. So that's more. I'm sorry. The math ain't mathing. Ali readjusted his tie and worried at the Canon DSLR camera he uses to snap photos of his properties. Bottom line here, he said, we don't want to make it easier for folks to get recreational weed. Out of the 23 other states that have legalized marijuana over the past 2 decades, Ohio has, one might expect, some of the tightest regulations for adult use weed. Ohio really came out of the gate swinging, Adams said. Such a cautious push played out by Governor Mike DeWine's podium and the state legislators that sought through proposed rewrites to curtail issue two's fruits in some way. Limit home grow plants, bolster the adult use tax from 10% to 15%. I tell you, man, Ohio is a different Ohio. What I've learned about Ohio, man, Ohio is a different beast. These states, cities, townships, they all operate differently. I do want to share this news because this was big news. The governor, the Maryland governor recently, Maryland Governor Wes Moore announced his pardoning of 175,000 cannabis convictions. Now, I'm bringing this up because most of my life I was raised in Maryland. I've been in Ohio for the last almost 15 years, but my, majority of my upbringing was in Maryland. So shout out to Maryland. As more and more states across the United States are legalizing recreational cannabis use, should individuals with prior convictions for cannabis use be pardoned? This is what an executive order from Maryland's Governor Wes Moore recently addressed as he successfully pardoned 175,000 cannabis convictions across the state of Maryland relating to both cannabis and drug paraphernalia possession, which marks the first time any state within the U.S. has taken such an action. Maryland made history when we legalized cannabis by referendum, Governor Moore said in a press conference. But we cannot celebrate the benefits of legalization while forgetting the consequences of criminalization. No Marylander should face barriers to housing, employment, or education based on convictions for conduct that is no longer illegal. Today, we take a big step forward towards ensuring equal justice for all, but this won't be our last effort. We must continue to move in partnership to build a state and a society that is more equitable, more just, and leaves no one behind. In November 2022, the 67.2% of Maryland voters approved a referendum legalizing recreational cannabis for individuals 21 years of age or older, and for up to 1.5 ounces of possession, which took effect July 1st, 2023. As noted, this is the first time any state government has pardoned past cannabis convictions, which could potentially open the doors for other states to follow suit as well. Currently, 38 states have legalized medical cannabis and 24 have legalized recreational cannabis, but the number of states continues to grow almost every year. Additionally, this comes as the U.S. Department of Justice has taken steps to potentially reclassify marijuana from a Schedule 1 drug to a Schedule 3, meaning criminal prosecutions would be lessened for marijuana across the country should this rescheduling be approved. Biden commends and welcomes Maryland's governor's mass marijuana pardon, the White House says. So President Joe Biden commends and welcomes the news that Maryland's governor has issued over 175,000 pardons for marijuana and paraphernalia convictions, the White House says. At a press briefing on Wednesday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked whether the president had a response to the Maryland clemency action, and she said, "We certainly welcome the news, and it builds on the president's work to reform how the nation approaches marijuana." She also used the moment to tout Biden's role in directing an administrative review in the cannabis scheduling that's resulted in the Justice Department proposing to reclassify marijuana as a Schedule 3. Also, on this topic, we want decriminalization and we want descheduling. Cannabis should not be scheduled, period. Because even under Schedule 3, it's still considered a controlled substance and it's still considered dangerous. And so cannabis should not be scheduled at all. It's already Schedule 1, where it's the highest and with some of the most dangerous drugs, but that needs to be Schedule 3. It needs to be descheduled. So again, right to the president, right? You have your inalienable rights as a citizen, as an American citizen. It doesn't matter what your job is. It doesn't matter if your job drug tests you. You can write an email to your senators, your congressmen and women, and to the president and tell them this should be descheduled, not rescheduled, descheduled. The president has been clear that no one should be in jail just for possessing marijuana. Y'all read that, right? The president, the same one Now, it's the same one who a couple decades ago, black people are animals. Throw them in jail. I don't want my kids being raised around black people. And they call us animals, right? We know who the real animals are. We know who the real demons are, the real devils are. It ain't us, but they keep trying to hold us down. The president, and I quote, has been clear that no one should be in jail just for possessing marijuana, Jean Pierre said. And he is a record number of pardons for prior federal offenses of simple possession and the use of marijuana. The press secretary noted that Biden has called on governors to do their part and take action. So again, write to your governors, right? In Ohio, write to Governor Mike DeWine that he needs to do the same thing that Governor Westmore of Maryland did and pardon people who have been convicted of cannabis offenses, especially nonviolent, low grade paraphernalia charges, because there's a lot of them. I just read earlier that there's tens of thousands of them. If let's see how many people are in Maryland. The Maryland population in 2024. So the population in Maryland is 6,196,525 people. All right. So if there's 175,000 people that he's pardoning out of 6 million folks, Ohio has 11 million folks. Right. Close to 12 million. Ohio has 11,812,173 people. So that means if Maryland pardoned 175,000 people and they only had 6 million people and we almost got double that, that means we got about probably 300,000 people we got to pardon. Let's see if I can look that number up. So Ohio cannabis arrests. So 2022 drug possession arrests, marijuana 7,432. Drug possession subtotal 17,808. So that was just 2002. But look at this. Look at this. 2012, 27,000. 2013, 29,000. 2014, 33,000. 2015, 31,000. 2016, 35,000. 2017, 37,000. 2018, 39,000. 2019, 33,000. Marijuana was arrest as a percentage total. Drug sale, manufacturing arrests. Like, come on, man. What are we really doing? Who are we really serving? And again, you get arrested or you get a marijuana charge, it fucks up your life. You know what I mean? Now people are looking at you a certain type of way. Now you can't get a job. Now you struggle to get housing. Like, there are just so many issues that come from it. So again, I'm gonna wrap up here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Ohio Cannabis Report channel. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Ohio Cannabis Report. Send me your comments. Again, if you want to be interviewed on our channel, if you want to promote your products or services, if you're a lawyer, if you help people in this space, we're looking to collaborate, build a collective community, build resources to help our community advance so we can help the people, we can help the greater state of Ohio, advance to the next evolution of what we are supposed to be in. So again, if you want promotion, we do charge a fee for marketing and promotion, but we're willing to work with anybody who wants to come on our platform. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything that you want to talk about. I know this was a long-winded post. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. Also, share the page. Also, if you're looking for a job, you know what I mean? I can't really pay a lot of people right now, but I'm looking for people to help build this platform. I believe we have a great opportunity to build a great media platform and outlet that can help support the community, whether it's news, whether it's opinion shows. I want to have more shows where we just talk to people through interviews. I want to do more, just content. I want more reporters. So if you're willing to be on camera, if you're willing to talk to people, I would love to have people that could go out to these festivals. I would love to have people that are willing to go out to these dispensaries, people in different towns that are willing to talk to people. I can't talk to everybody. You know what I mean? I can't do all the work myself, and neither can the other people in this industry. So we all have to work collectively together. And like I said, I'm willing to break bread. You know what I mean? We are on the ground floor, but I do believe that we are in the right vein to be able to help support and grow this community to what I know it can be. So again, I'm Gerald Moore Jr. signing off from the Ohio Cannabis Report. Peace and love. Blessings.